Diving right on in, guys. How are you doing? My name is Carbon Fiber K9. And of course, we're going to start this shit right out the gate. Of course. And there goes my top. I hate it here. Anyways. Ta-da. There we go. So, in the first video, we covered the Sorcerer. And its out of the gate potential, or its out of the gate brokenness, and its end game potential. We just went over the Barbarian and its out of the gate brokenness and its potential. This is a super complex class. I didn't even get to hit level 2 with it because I spent so much time talking about the skills. So if you guys want, go back and check that video out because that may be your end game character that you want. I mean, he is broken. Or she. He or she. We don't discriminate around her. But without further ado, we're going to get right into this, and we are going to go over the Druid. You get a werewolf form, you get a werebear form, you get a storm, and earth. Right, so, flexible and resilient. Druids harness the power of nature to protect life. Druids can shapeshift between the cunning werewolf and the powerful werebear to fight their enemies. Additionally, those who prefer spellcasting can unleash earth and storm magic from a distance. Werewolf. Werewolves are ferocious and agile. They benefit greatly from increasing their attack speed and critically striking enemies. So it looks like crit strike is going to be a major role in the Druid, at least when you choose the werewolf. And then you have the werebear. The werebear is a powerful force on the battlefield, dealing damage in large areas while also being notoriously difficult to take down. So that looks like that's where you get most of your sustained tankiness from. Storm, in case you are a magic user. Call upon the storm to rain lightning upon your enemies or blow them away with powerful gusts of wind. Earth. Earth magic focuses on limiting enemy movement with crowd control effects. They also benefit when used against enemies who are in such a state. So, doing a lot of talking just to cover this kind of stuff. So, it looks like the Druid has three ways you can play, really. So you have your werewolf, which is, getting up in their face, hitting them, getting out, coming back in, hitting them, get out, come back in, kind of like a hit and run tactic. Then you have your werebear, which is going to come in, take whatever you throw at it, give it back to you, and continue to just truck on. And then you have your magic way to play, which is storm and earth. So you have two ways to play off of that one way to play. So, without further ado, let's get into making him real quick. Go with him, and we're going to go with... Yeah. We're just going to go with that, call it good. Yeah, we're going to go with that and call it good. That is perfect look. Brayman. That sounds like a good Druid name. That way we know that this is strictly for you guys, so you guys can follow the development that I have with these characters, and that I don't lose them. Boom. And as always, World Tier 2 Veteran. Let's go. We're queued in, and we go. As always, if you want to skip the cutscenes, on mouse and keyboard it is escape. On Xbox controller it is holding B. And on PlayStation controllers it is holding circle. Ta-da! So, alright, so starting right out the gate, totem and a mace, that's cool. Alright, so we come here, and this is where it throws us out to start with. 5 starting skills. So you have a Maul, which is werebear, Claw, werewolf, Storm Strike with storm, Wind Shear with storm, and Earth Spike with nature. Right, so you get werewolf for 7 damage, werebear for 7 damage, Storm Strike for 7 damage with a chain lightning. You get Wind Shear, which is 6 damage. It says piercing too, so maybe it passes through and is, does group damage. And then you have Earth Spike, which impales first enemy hit for 5 damage. So I'm not gonna lie, it seems like the better option isn't even to shapeshift in the beginning. At all. It looks like Storm Strike is the best way to do this. It says electricity gathers around your weapon, dealing 7 damage to your target and chaining up to 3 surrounding enemies, dealing 20% less damage each time it chains. But the flip side of that, what they're not saying, is the fact that it's 7 damage plus your weapon damage, and it chains. And yes, it deals 20% less damage, but after dealing damage with Storm Strike, you also gain a 3-second damage reduction of 25%. The Druid is a badass. Right out of the gate, the Druid's a badass. I don't even have to go over anything else. Shift into a Werebear, maul enemies in front of you dealing 7. Claw, Werewolf, claw at an enemy 7 damage. Piercing Blade of Wind, 6 damage. Sunder Earth, impaling first enemy for 5 damage. So, these 3 right here, right, are all the same amount of damage. But the only one that actually benefits you more than just the damage is the Storm Strike. So let's move on to your secondary skills. Lightning Storm, Tornado, Pulverize, Shred, and Landslide. So Lightning Storm, conjure a growing lightning storm that deals 14 damage per strike. The number of strikes increase the longer the storm is channeled, up to a maximum of 5 at once. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's 14 damage per strike. And you can channel it and have up to 5 at once. So that, I mean, there's some true potential there. Because it doesn't say that it has to deal damage to different enemies. Right? So that means that you can have 5 storms that all go to the same enemy. And 5 storms times 14, I mean, let's just do basic math real quick. 14 plus 14 is 28, and 28 plus 28 is, so you take 30, 30, 60 minus 4 for the 28, so 56 damage, and then you add another 14, so 56 plus 4 is 60, plus 10 is 70, so you're talking 70 damage right out of the gate for a secondary skill that literally by level 3 you have. That's, oh, damn. Right, so then you have Tornado, Swirling Tornado that deals 12 damage. Doesn't say that it does anything else. Maybe it does here. 20% chance to spawn an additional tornado. Enemies damaged by tornado are slowed. Become vulnerable, but that's a 10% chance. It's too low. It is way too low of a percentage to take that risk that you're going to get them vulnerable. You might as well go for the slowed because it is a guaranteed slow for 8%, and it stacks up to 40%. So if that tornado's there long enough and you keep them in that tornado, they're slowed by 40%. If you really can't take it on, tornado and run. Super easy. Right, and then you have the Werebear shape-shifting here. Slam the ground, dealing 17 damage to surrounding enemies. Then you have Shred. Shape-shift into a werewolf and perform a trio of combo attacks. First attack is a dash, deals 8. Second attack deals 12. Third attack is a large finishing move, dealing 21. Right, so if we take all that into consideration, let's say that it has the same attack speed that I do here. That's pretty fast, right? So if we take that, 8 plus 12 is 20, and 20 plus 21 is 41. So you're still not as high as a lightning storm, but you're higher than everything else so far. Then we have Landslide. Crush enemies between 2 pillars of earth, dealing up to 26 damage. Up to. That does not mean you will deal 26. It is up to 26. So I guess it depends on where they hit you. or you know, where you hit them. Like, is it the enemy's here, one wall's here, and the next wall's over here, and they come together, this one hitting you first could prevent this one from actually hitting you? Or is it just based on, I don't know, armor maybe? I don't know. But I mean, it's Earth. You'd figure, you know, 26 damage meant 26 damage, but it says up to 26 damage. None of the rest of these say up to. They all say deals that damage. So that is up for interpretation. I don't know because I haven't played the Druid at all with that, so I don't know. I honestly, I probably wouldn't choose that. If it was me, I'd probably be going with the Wolf or the Lightning Storm. Realistically, speaking in terms of the way that I like to deal damage, Lightning Storm, because it's ranged. I don't like to get all up in people's face, even if I can take the hit. I don't like to. So, moving on to Earthen Bulwark. Rocks surround you for 3 seconds, granting a barrier that absorbs 45% of your base life, which is 18 in damage. Does that mean... Okay. Okay, I see what it says now. My life is 40, and that's gonna... Okay. Okay. So, to explain that, essentially, the barrier absorbs damage from all sources up to a specified amount. That specified amount is 45% of my base life, which in this case is 18. So that means I can take 18 damage before I take health damage. So it's pretty nice. But then you have Cyclone Armor, where as a passive, grants you 10% non-physical damage reduction. So basically anything other than a smack. And then you have the active, which is winds rapidly expand, knocking back enemies and dealing 10 damage. So that's nice and all, but not really my style. Blood Howl. Shapeshift into a werewolf and howl furiously, healing you for 20% of your maximum life, which in this case is 8. The healing does sound kind of nice, but I don't know. Let's look at the werebear. Shapeshift into a werebear and bellow a mighty roar, reducing nearby enemies' damage dealt by 70%. Alright, so thinking about this logically, right? You could use that roar to stay alive way longer than you can use that howl to heal yourself. Logically speaking, the werebear roar is hands down got to be the better option here, especially with that, because it fortifies you for 22%. Fortified characters take 10% reduced damage. You become fortified when you have more fortified than current life. So, whew. And then you have the innate debilitating roar, which also slows enemies by 65% for its duration, even furthering you. I mean, you're already reducing their damage dealt by 70. Now you're going to slow them down by 65%? That's fucking broken. Alright, and then you have the Preserved Debilitating Roar. Also heals you for 4% of your maximum life each second for its duration. Well, it's 4 seconds, and that's wanting to do 2 life each second. So 4 times 2 is 8. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. This is healing you for maximum life of 8. Right? And this is saying to heal you for 4% of your maximum life, which is 2, each second for its duration. So if we're healing for 2 every second, and it lasts for 4 seconds, 4 times 2 is 8, which is the same amount of healing you get from the Blood Howl. Fuck the Blood Howl, don't even fucking touch it. Go with the Debilitating Roar, because that is exactly what you're going to need. So you lower their damage, right? Get a Fortify, and on top of it, heal yourself at the same fucking time. You would be stupid not to go with the Roar. Kills reduce cooldown of Blood Howl by 1 second. Blood Howl also increases your attack speed. Well, that's nice and dandy, but 20 spirit, yeah. See, now if that was health, okay, maybe we could talk about the Blood Howl, but that's not health, that's spirit. So yeah, debilitating Roar. That's your game breaker right there. All right, here's your companions. There we go. Yep, ravens. That's what I thought. All right, so this is the fun part for me. So you get wolves. Summon 2 wolf companions that bite enemies for 2 damage. That's your passive. Active. Direct your wolves to focus an enemy, leaping to them and striking for 38 damage. Keeping in mind, there's 2 wolves. If each one does 38 damage, 35 and 35 is 70. So then you take the extra 6 and 6, or 3 and 3 to make 6. That is 76 damage that you just dealt to something just by having the wolves pounce on it. Super easy, super simple. You'd be stupid not to try that. On the flip side, Poison Creeper. A Poison Creeper periodically emerges from the ground every 7 seconds and applies 12 poisoning damage over 6 seconds to an enemy in the area. Well, that is nice. It's not guaranteed to be there at all times to help fight and protect you. Active. Vines strangle all surrounding enemies, immobilizing them for 2 seconds and poisoning them for 31 damage over 2 seconds. So, basically 15.5 damage every second. That DOT is shit. Ravens. 1 raven flies above you and periodically attacks your enemies for 4 damage every 5 seconds. Active. The target area is swarmed with ravens, dealing 56 damage over 6 seconds. I do like that. But the flip side is these wolves right here. Yeah, okay. The wolves right here, that is your better option. And the reason why is because you get 2 of them, and they're there to help you fight at all times. They don't go away. They love you. On the flip side, 20% increased damage to immobilized, stunned, slowed, or poisoned. When you crit strike, your wolves gain 20% attack speed. Wolves' attacks have a 10% chance to fortify you. See? Boom. So that's what you should do. You go with wolves, you get enhanced wolf pack, and you go with ferocious wolf pack. On the flip side, you can also increase that output by using Call of the Wild. I was checking to see if those had any form of something for me. But if they do increased damage to immobilized, stunned, slowed, or poisoned, then that potentially can change you from going for the healing to the slow. You see where I'm going with this? So you slow your enemies, and then the wolves deal 20% increased damage at the same time as probably 30% by the time you're done with that. Plus they automatically fortify you when this is going to fortify you as well. The Druid's fucking broken, especially late game. That is what I'm seeing right now. Alright, so we have a Hurricane, deals 34 damage to surrounding enemies over 8 seconds. Well, that's cool and all, not my cup of tea. Unearth a large rolling boulder that repeatedly knocks back enemies, dealing 11 damage with each hit. Maybe, but only if it bounces off walls, like a ricochet effect. Rabies, shapeshift to a werewolf and perform an infectious bite on the target, dealing 9 damage and applying an additional 18 poisoning damage over 6 seconds. Infected enemies spread rabies to other surrounding targets. That is nice. Because it means in a group, all you have to do is bite one, and then they all get it. Trample, shapeshift into a werebear, becoming unstoppable and charge forward, dealing 26 damage and knocking back enemies. Enemies who are knocked back into terrain take an additional 15 damage and are stunned for 3 seconds. I'm going to have to go with rabies as your better option here, just for the simple fact of the rabies spreading to other enemies. That's point blank in a story. That's going to be, at the end of the day, your best bet. Just solely based off that idea right there. I mean, ugh. Then you look at this. Poisoning damage also increases over the lifetime of the disease. Oh! Oh! Deals its total poisoning damage in 4 seconds instead of 6. Now, you're not going to want that if you go with that. Spreads 100% faster. Oh. Yeah, so highly infectious, so we should go with rabies, enhanced, natural. You're not going to want it to do its total poisoning damage in 4 seconds instead of 6. And the reason I say that is because off of going off of enhanced rabies, it increases over the lifetime of the disease, dealing 30% bonus at max duration. Now, granted, this will get you to a higher number faster. 6 seconds is better than 4 seconds. The reason being is because right here, it's 18 over 6 seconds. Now do 18 over 4 seconds. That's less damage. Granted, this increases the bonus damage at max duration though. So over time it's getting more powerful, but if you cut its powerful timing down, you deal less damage. You're a fool to go for Savage. You should definitely go for Natural. So, moving on down here to the ultimates. This is where it gets juicy. Petrify. Encase all nearby enemies in stone, stunning them for 3 seconds. You deal 25% increased critical strike damage to enemies affected by Petrify. Against bosses, the critical strike damage bonus is increased by 50 and its duration increased to 6. Well, that is nice. I don't see the point of it because it's a stun. That is literally what it is a stun and increased crit damage. Well, that's nice. You have to focus on crit in order to get that. And not a whole lot of the skills up above help with crit chance. So that's going to entirely depend on your build. If your build allows you to go with Petrify, do it. By all means do it, because that's a 25% increase of damage. Plus, if it's used against a boss, it's a 50% increase in damage. So by all means, if you focus on crit, use Petrify. But unless you can handle the crit chance, don't use it. It's a waste of your time. Work towards it if you want it. By all means, that is a great one to have. But don't solely focus your entire character around Petrify. You want to look at your ultimates last. Because your ultimates, like it shows right here, 49 seconds before you get it again. That's almost a whole minute. With the Necromancer on my stream character, I beat the first boss in less than a minute. I didn't need an ultimate. And I could have only used it once and then I wouldn't have been able to use it again. So, I would definitely say if you want to work on your crit strike or your crit chance, do it. But if your crit chance isn't high enough where you're seeing, a steady supply of crits happening, I wouldn't go with Petrify. I feel like it would be a waste of potential for you. Cataclysm. A massive storm follows you for 8 seconds, twisters knock back enemies, and lightning strikes wildly, dealing 18 damage. That is not a whole lot of damage, but it does keep you safe. Then you have Lacerate. Oh. Shapeshift into a werewolf, become immune, and quickly dash 10 times between enemies in the area, dealing up to 141 damage. So I'm guessing because you dash 10 times and it's up to 141 damage, if you dash 10 times, that is 141 damage. That one is easily explained, whereas in the Barbarian, it wasn't explained that way. If you guys did miss that, you can go back and check the Barbarian video, because I tore a skill apart just because it says up to a certain amount of damage, but doesn't give any reasoning why. Like this, it says you dash 10 times and you get to deal up to 141 damage. Up to, right? So that tells me that if I dash all 10 times, I've dealt 141 damage in total. Granted, not a whole lot, but it lowers everyone down. But what you're really looking at here is the immune. Characters cannot be damaged, and all control impairing effects are removed and prevented. So during those 10 dashes, you're immune. You can't be hurt, you can't be slowed, you can't be stunned, you can't do anything. You don't have to worry about a thing while you're doing your lacerate, which is nice. Grizzly Rage. Shapeshift into a dire werebear for 10 seconds, gaining 20% bonus damage and 20% damage reduction. Damage bonus is increased by 3% each second while in this form. Kills extend the duration by 1 second up to 5 additional seconds. So technically you can get it for 15 seconds. And looking at the cooldown being 49 seconds. And if you do it right, you could be at 15 seconds. So that would be 34? Yeah, 34 seconds. So almost every half minute you can use your ultimate with Grizzly Rage. With increase of bonus damage and damage reduction, don't even worry about Lacerate, don't even worry about Petrify. That's gonna be what you want to do. And the reason I say that is because that right there, that is gonna help you kill a boss faster than Petrify will. Unless you are unnaturally dishing out large crits and you focus on your crit damage and your crit chance and then this further increasing that, unless you do that, I just stick with Grizzly Rage. Unstoppable in addition to it, plus a Fortify. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you get Quick Shift that increases damage, applies a Fortify, and then extra damage reduction against elites. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then we get down to the cool stuff down here, which oh. Alright, so looking over this kind of stuff, and we're gonna have to do the same thing we do with the Barbarian, because this is another complex class. But I'd have to say this is a much easier difficulty to learn. So going off the skills that I would choose, Bestial Rampage would be the best outcome. And the reason I say that is because you're doing the Grizzly Rage, right? Which is a werebear. Not to mention, when you come up here, you're also doing the werewolf, right? So you do werewolf shift there. You have the wolves. You come up here and you're doing werebear here. And then you come up over here and you're doing a lightning storm. And up here you have storm strike, right? So you have werebear, werewolf, werebear, and this right here. So after being a werewolf for 2.5 seconds, gain 20% attack speed for 15. After being a werebear for 2.5 seconds, deal 20% increased damage for 15 seconds. Literally, you just break your character. Holy cow. Alright, so let's go see what this Storm Strike does for the out the gate break, and we'll see if we need to adjust what we choose for an out of the gate break to give you the best possible chance you have of survival. Ouch. Alright, so without further ado, y'all stay beautiful, stay awesome. That was holy shit. He has a survivability. He has a great skill tree. My name's Carbon Fiber K9. Y'all stay beautiful, stay awesome, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.